According to the article of Aleksandr Kharichev, head of the Department for Supporting the Activity of the State Council at the Russian Presidential Administration, a citizen of the future Russia is proud of his country, influential and in demand, financially secure, free within the framework of certain rules of the dormitory. However, the members of the opposition assure that only representatives of the authorities, security forces and propagandists close to the Kremlin have all these benefits in today's Russia. An example of this is the detention at rallies, the persecution of independent media as well as those who do not agree with the Kremlin's policy.
You can write anything you want there, but we know very well that the essence of a Russian person under Putin is that he has no future, and even if he has one, it is terrible. He has to live in a country that looks like a prison, divided into various degrees of regimes, having no rights, seeing forever one irremovable Putin and power that is so high, and it has absolutely nothing to do with him, if only in terms of suppression, deceit and robbery. This is a person who has no prospects, a country that is rapidly lagging behind world progress, poverty, lack of rights, security threats, bad healthcare, poor education and complete global isolation.
Half-destroyed houses, lack of asphalt, and open sewerage right on the streets are the realities in which Russians live in the hinterland. Looking at the views of Arkhangelsk, it is impossible to talk about material support and pride in the country.
People live in this house, that is, this one has not yet collapsed, but that house has collapsed, and at the same time it can be seen that it has collapsed naturally, and no one even cleared it up.
And this is Vorkuta. Local landscapes differ little from other cities of Russia forgotten by the central government.
This is what it looks like from the yard. It's creepy to walk here. It hurts to see how it is all decaying.
At the same time, Aleksandr Kharichev in his article calls Russia a firebird country. Experts assure faith in a brighter future is what the Kremlin has been trying to retain power with by feeding Russians with promises for more than a decade.
The passage is, yes, now we have problems. Yes, now we have a deterioration. But we will definitely recover. We will be strong. The main thing is to live by this faith. We remember the Soviet times when people first believed in communism. Then they built socialism with a human face and everything else. It's all for the future. In fact, the good life in Russia here and now is not welcome. A good life here and now can only be for Putin, for his inner circle, for pocket oligarchs, for the security forces. Maybe, but this is 2 to 3% of the population of the entire country.
The main value for the government, as it was stated in the article, is trust in the institutions of power. Trying to earn this trust, Russian officials sometimes show concern for citizens. They install the so-called platforms for laundry to wash their clothes in poor regions where people do not even have washing machines in their homes. 250,000 Russian rubles are spent from the city budget on a wooden structure. Every year, the city administration concludes contracts with the vendor for the installation and maintenance of the so-called floating docks for laundry, which are in great demand among the population. The author of the article calls the Federation the guardian of good, amid a full-scale war unleashed by the Kremlin against Ukraine, the killing of thousands of civilians, the incessant massive shelling of peaceful cities. However, the oppositions are convinced that these theses, in the event of a victory of the armed forces of Ukraine on the battlefield, will crumble like a house of cards, and the Russians will have to realize that they have been lied to for decades.
The hangover will be very heavy, bloody, mind-bending. We have now heard the conclusions of some psychiatrists, scientists and psychologists, and they say that this upheaval of consciousness, which will inevitably happen, it can even lead to suicides, to suicidal cases. That is, it will be such a bitter disappointment, it will be such a harsh understanding of the situation, up to cases of suicide.
Reported by Dana Kolesnik, Larissa Zubenko, UATV News.